Hey guys, welcome to the Logical Latte, where we discuss all things economy, money, the game of life in a logical way. Today, we're going to talk about the housing market, a little bit more about the fallout from Zillow and their announcement in stopping the iBuyer program, and talk about some things I'm hearing, a little bit of rumblings, and we will see how logical we can make of all this little game playing in the housing market and economy today. Okay, so first things first, I spoke to a realtor friend of mine, and she was telling me that she gets emails daily, literally daily, from banks trying to go ahead and recruit her to learning the ins and outs of selling foreclosed properties. Now, obviously, over the last 18 months or so, as the moratorium ran, there was no need to have realtors trained for selling bank-owned properties because there weren't many, if any, bank-owned properties because of the moratorium. So when foreclosures stopped altogether, there was no need to have realtors be able to know the ins and outs of selling such properties. So now that the moratorium is over, they are contacting realtors in different parts of the country to try to get them trained up in understanding how to sell distressed or foreclosed properties. And to me, that's pretty telling. I know that it's an obvious thing that now that the moratorium is over, there are going to be more foreclosed properties on the market. However, with more properties on the market, there's going to be more inventory. However, the banks are not dumb. They are not going to shoot themselves in the foot by doing it all at one time, and every, property that needs to be foreclosed on, they're going to do, in the next 2 months. It's going to be a slow roll because they don't want to shoot themselves in the foot like they did in 2008, where they lost lots of money. I mean, properties were reduced by like 30, 40, 50, 60%, depending on where you were in the country. And that's important for the banks to realize, that they don't want to flood the market with all of these distressed properties because, well, that's going to bring in less money for them. So I do think that they are going to slow roll it over the course of the next few months. I think somewhere I heard, I think it was about 7,000 across the entire country distressed properties or soon to be foreclosed properties have been notified in the last month. But that was 1 month. And then, we're going to go into the month of October, and it's going to be another 7,000 properties or so. So they're not going to do it all at once. They're not going to make it happen overnight. They're going to try to make it slowly roll out, so it's not such a huge, blow to the market. I will say, when I look at the MLS and inventory online, what I'm seeing is inventory climbing. Now, there was a time over the summer where you could go on to Zillow or Redfin, and you could see that there were very few properties that were coming on the market. And if they were barely even on the market for 2 seconds in order, and they were already sold. So they might not have ever even hit Zillow but before you knew it, they were pending within 8 hours. And so it seems like when I log on and I look generally in my area specifically, I'm seeing, on average, 5, 10, 15 new homes a day. And that's something to me that is new. Now, I also will say that I have seen some houses that are priced under $400,000, which in my area is not something that you see a lot of, or you have seen a lot of in the past year. And so seeing that means to me that there's more stuff happening. There's going to be more inventory out there, which to me is obviously going to help relieve some of the madness that's out there with the housing market in general. Now, what's happening, I see too, is that the market is kind of freezing. When I log on, I also see lots of homes that have been on for 10, 20, 40, 60 days. I'm seeing homes that were obviously overpriced, obviously way overpriced for the market, even for the height of a market. And they're just sitting there. And, that's like a death nail for a housing listing, to just be sitting there. And especially in this climate, people automatically think that there's something wrong with the home. Whereas before the sickness that went around the world and everything stopped, that was a regular thing in my area, where houses were on the market on average between 60 to 90 days. And at the height of the hysteria, they were on the market for less than 6. So it is pretty crazy to see how that's kind of shaping up, and to see where the housing market will go from here, because as things are sitting there, to me, there's just no movement. It's like a market freeze. It's the people who are who were going to be in the frenzy, who were going to have the FOMO. They've already gone out, they've already bought, and that's what that's what they're doing. They're already done. And then the people who were going to buy, or maybe had the money to buy and they were going to be looking, they sat on the sidelines. They're waiting to see how things have shaken out, or how they're going to shake out over the next few months. And, we're heading into the holiday season soon, and that in itself will put a little bit more slowdown on the market. So it could be interesting to see how all of this perfect storm comes together over the next few months to change the housing market from where it was. And I think, quite frankly, it'll level it out, which is a good thing. And I think that, the builders are slowly but surely, catching up with the hysteria that they were in. And quite frankly, they're leveling that out as well. So I do think that there is the squeeze of the middle class to upper middle class. The people who are looking in the over $500,000 range, they are definitely holding off, in my opinion. They are keeping their powder dry to see how things shake out, because they are, a group of buyers who obviously can afford a decent size house and a decent size mortgage, and they're not just going to jump in. And I think they've probably either learned from the past in 2008, or they are smart enough to do their research on what happened in 2008, and they are just all kind of waiting on the sidelines to see what happens, how it shakes out. And I'll be interested to see if, when it does shake out, if the market I don't think it's going to collapse. I do think it's going to smooth out and be a little bit more normal. And, quite frankly, that's what the CEO of, I believe it was Century 21, came out and said, hey, we're looking for a little bit more of a normal market. And to me, all those signs are pointing that direction. And even if they're not pointing in that direction, everyone talking about it and it coming up, it is going to make it happen. It's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we'll see how that rolls out over the next few months. I'll be interested. Leave your comments down below. Tell me what you think is going on in your housing market and in your local economy. And maybe we'll talk about it in the next one. See you then. Bye.